Thanks for joining us today on The Perfect X. My name is Sherry, and this is my co-host Leigh,
Aloha, people.
who's already talked my fucking ear off for the last 21 minutes on
You're
his.
lucky people pay to hear me talk. Not really.
But no, I don't think anyone pays to hear you talk. They pay to
No.
get you to shut up.
Money was exchanged. I don't remember what else was said.
But today we are talking about dating fatigue, although I have Leigh fatigue.
You should have dating fatigue, for fuck's sake.
I honest to God, as I was writing this out, I'm like, oh, I should take this advice myself because I do have dating fatigue. Big
I
fucking
have dating fatigue through you. That's how much dating fatigue you should have.
Honestly, I haven't dated in the last year, and I really feel like I need to take this advice because I haven't gone back into dating really since COVID. No, I say last year, but really last 4 years. Um, but
If I had the track record you had, I would have given up long ago. But I commend your effort.
I know my mom always says, "How could you go out with so many people and not like even one?" There's
Yeah.
only one common problem, and I'm like, "What?" And I always think she's
Yeah.
gonna
What is
say
it?
something else.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, "What do you think it is, mom?" And she's like, you haven't figured it out." I'm like,
Well, yeah. I always
"What?"
enjoyed hanging out with you, but I don't date you, so I guess that's a big factor.
I have a lot of guy friends that say the same thing. Nobody, how come they all get friend zoned, not by my choice? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you were somehow friend zone yourself. Yeah.
I'm constantly being friend zoned now.
You might be the
Um,
first girl in the friend zone.
what do you mean,
We've been
out of you
expecting
or?
you.
Oh,
Been-
yeah. That's true, but I do have dating fatigue. I think, and I hear this so much. So many people, like, they experience this and they're sick of putting themselves out there. And like, we were even just talking about this for the 21 minutes where Lee wouldn't shut up before.
Mhm, mhm.
And he was pretty much saying, like, people, like, we're all dying to meet someone organically, like the old school way.
Mhm.
And I won't expose you, but like, we all want to be set up by somebody. We all want, like, to just randomly walk into a store and meet people, or like go to the grocery store and that's where you met among some bag of chips, because let's be honest, it's not the fruit
Yeah.
aisle.
Yeah, no.
um, but we all want that. And being online, like, I know you've heard me say it a million times, it's a full-time fucking job.
Well, that and you've
People get
often said that it's the same conversation over and over and over again.
same thing. It's same thing. And then it's the same thing with the same dates. Like, you go on these dates and they don't lead anywhere, or because like you're not really interested, or it's the same conversation you had like the other week when you went on a date with someone else and you're like, oh, I already feel like this. And
Yeah.
I hear this a lot, like, I don't experience this a lot. No, I'm just joking. But I hear a lot of people I hear a lot of people getting tired of getting rejected. So they just don't even put themselves out there anymore.
I'm sure you would be
Um,
hard for people.
yeah, it definitely is. Not that I would know, but
Expecting everybody. Oh, this guy is an
no, I do get rejected too. Everyone gets rejected. But actually height is not a worry for me because I'm 5 feet. But I do know it is for a lot of my friends.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I have friends that are quite tall as girls, and it's probably more difficult to find a partner that's taller than you if you're already like 6 foot.
especially in LA, like, the average height in LA is just much shorter than Vancouver. Vancouver in general have very tall people. And
Yeah, what's
so
up with that?
I think it's the European descent. I think
Oh,
that's what I've been told. I don't know if that's true. There's a lot of people from Eastern Europe there. I don't know if that's true though. But and in
yeah, I
LA they're
wonder.
just a lot shorter. But anyways, and people get discouraged and like they're never connecting with someone. They're never liking someone. You're like constantly putting yourself out there. It's not working out, and so we all get fucking dating fatigue. So
Hmm.
it's a real thing. It's like I'm surprised it's not diagnosed, but
It'll be out. These terms are coming out. Like googling something is now in the dictionary, right?
I wonder if dating fatigue is in the actual Google, but we'll have to check after. But
I'm
it's a
sure.
thing. It's a real thing. I'm going through it. And when I was organizing this podcast, I was like, fuck, I got to take this advice myself. And then it's kind of like the reality is, it's like we all get sick of sending our resume out when we want to look for a job, but if you want fucking money, you want to live, you have to do it. So same
Yeah,
thing with dating. Like, if you want to get married or be with someone or not feel alone or be alone, I mean, there's no choice. You have to fucking date. Like,
you got
there's
to get
no
out
going
there.
around
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
And as much as we all want that fairy tale of being set up, it doesn't, like we talked about this right before, it doesn't really happen anymore. People just don't really do it. And reality is, like, I thought first it was just me after COVID, and actually for me, it happened after my dog died. Like, I used to hang out with everybody, and then after patients died, I was just kind of really, like, honed in, and I just could not have the mental capacity to spend a lot of time with people.
Yeah.
And I noticed, like, also after COVID, like, everyone's social circle is so much smaller. And so really people don't have people to set up. Like I know some amazing guys and I don't have friends, girlfriends for them because I have very few girlfriends now and they're mostly married. And
Yeah.
then I have some amazing girlfriends and I don't have a guy friend for them for the same, like, you know what I mean? Like we really aren't as social, I think, as a society as we used to. So we don't really have that many people to match make anymore, even. So
It's funny how people, all throughout history, everyone seemed to manage to pair up for the most part, right? What's going on
mhm.
now, right? Spoiled for choice.
And it's actually, yeah, you're right. It is true. It's spoiled for choice because it is true. Like I felt like before the apps, I was in relationships much more since I've been on the apps. Like now I'm like, well, I don't need to settle, I'll just go on the app again. But eventually it gets to the point where the app does say like, there's no more people in your area. Please broaden
Jesus.
your
Broaden your search, yeah.
yeah, it does say that. It's
You
kind
know
of
what?
funny.
Honestly, I feel like a lot of it, if you go back 100 years, like way more people were like more strictly religious, and I think they would just jump into relationships because that was like the social norm. And I don't think people were as picky. I think it was just like you didn't know anybody. You only had your immediate circle or your town or whatever. 100 years ago, there was no internet, no whatever. I wonder if it's just like it was just the natural order of things. People just paired off and were less picky.
Yeah, I mean, it is that is a fact though. It is true. Like people didn't really know that there was so much even out there. There's so much
Yeah, you
choice.
really
And then
just had
once
your immediate. It's even like buying something like before the internet. You'd have to go look at the local newspaper or whatever, and it was just that was all there was. Like, there really wasn't the way to network like there is now.
and scope to see what's out there. It's true. And then eventually what happens is like, I feel like everyone when they first get on the apps, like anybody who I know who's newly divorced or whatever, they're like, oh my God, there's so many people out there. And at first you're like so excited. And then you get to a point where it's like, nope, this is fucking exhausting. And it's the same thing over and over again. It's not working out. And
Hmm.
I think like the best way, I mean, what I've researched, I have got to take the spice myself, but so what are some of the best ways to motivate yourself to get back out there? I think the first thing is kind of taking a break, just like anything in life is like, okay, give
Yeah,
yourself like 1 to 3 months where you're just focusing on you and you don't really put that pressure of finding someone in your realm. Like you just completely take it off
yeah.
the table.
What's a big
And
thing that's kind of come to my attention lately? My wife's been talking about it forever, but I wasn't listening. Is this like manifesting type dream board type stuff? Like, I
oh
think
yeah,
you
yeah.
really got to know what you want very specifically before you head out to look for it.
It's so funny. You always hear like in like interviews of like somebody on TV or whatever. They're like, I he's everything I had on manifested. He's everything on my list. And
Hmm.
but I mean, and I do believe in that somewhat. I used to really believe in it until I manifested so much and nothing happened.
I
But
find the
I,
opposite. Like, I didn't think anything of it until like recent years. I was like, man, like you really got to be clear about what you're after, even if it's in like a
but that is
physical thing. Like
true.
like I find that there's so many times where you have to be very clear about what you want, and chances are you don't even know. It's the difference between going to a mall or a store with to buy something in mind and to go there just to fucking bum around for 3 hours. I get so burnt out if I go to like a tool store just to snoop around. It fucking burns me out. I don't know why. Like, but if I go there for something, I know what I want before I go there. I have a way better success rate, right?
Yeah, no, it's
It's a
true. It's
stupid
true.
analogy, but is this decision fatigue and dating fatigue and all that? Like, I have huge decision fatigue with everything. So like when I hate browsing now. Like, I used to do it for fun. I just go bum around and see what deals are on, and now I'm like I don't go in there unless I know what I want. And I could see that dating fatigue being the same way because the decision fatigue is there milling about. I think if you're very intentional about what you're looking for, I think that will take a lot of the fatigue away.
Yeah, yeah. I would say, like, even before you get to that point, like, definitely give yourself a break. Like, just spend 1 month, like, give yourself 30 days up to 3
Hmm.
months. I wouldn't say more than 3 months because then it'll just get too hard to get back into it.
Yeah.
But I would say take 1 to 3 months. And I wouldn't say to do it this way because I've seen this a lot. People are like, oh, they say when you're not looking, it's when you meet somebody. But don't take like a month off and like pretend not to be dating or not looking and working on yourself when you're really just hoping that these fake actions is that moment you're going to meet someone based on the fact that people always say when I least expected it. Really, honestly, just take 1 to 3 months and don't expect anything and focus on yourself and things you want to change about yourself. And at the same time, you can also create that manifestation. You can be like, okay, I'm going to focus on myself. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to focus on things I think I would want in someone that fits this version of me.
Yeah.
So that's a great time to just really focus. I think also one thing
Mhm.
we have to remember is that dating in general is a process. And you have to accept that it's a process. Like it's not going to just happen right away. Every date is not your next potential future husband or boyfriend.
Yeah, yeah.
There are going to be so many dead ends, just like there are so many interviews where you don't get the job, or so many times you send the resume, it doesn't work out. And instead of just always expecting it to be like your next boyfriend or whatever, go into the situation and just try to learn. And by learning, I mean just take it as an experience. Like I go on when I was positive with dating and stuff, it was always when I was more interested in experiencing. Like when I
Yeah.
moved to LA and I just wanted to experience what the city had to offer and the culture. Like there's so many cultures out here that we didn't have in Vancouver. I don't know if we do now, but we don't. Like I didn't even meet an Armenian or like a Persian Jewish person, or like
Yeah.
they did, in Israel. Like I met an Israeli right before I moved to LA, but I didn't know the like really Israelis and the cultures. And there's so many like cultures with lots of population in that culture here that you can really experience. And when I first came to LA, I didn't have a bad date. I really didn't. I just had all these amazing experiences because all I was looking for was the experience. And it's a great way to learn about yourself. It's a great way to learn about different cultures and different people out there and different ways that people are living in this world.
Yeah.
And by allowing yourself the opportunity to kind of learn and grow, and not see it as rather just like trying to find the next relationship, it won't be
Mhm.
as negative as a situation if you're looking at it as just something you're learning from.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a really big one, I thought. Like, and I do know that when I used to take dating that way, I dated in such a more positive way.
Yeah. Like for me, like obviously I haven't dated in 100 years, but like the from the outside looking in, I just apply the same logic I apply to everything, and I think it just you like I said before, I think you just really do have to be clear with yourself what it is you're looking for, and know that no one's going to fit that mold perfectly. Like people, uh, sort of evolve together, and if you meet someone who's a certain kind of way, and it's not exactly like your groove, like you'll find the common ground in the middle. Like like my wife and I were like I was big into dirt biking and all that stuff, and she really hadn't done any sort of outdoorsy stuff. And then we found things that we both like to do together. Like some of it, some of it's going off roading and outdoors, and I never liked being swimming or being at the beach or whatever, but like then we got into like boats, and I like enjoy that kind of thing. So like now we can go boating and do all that. So I think you got to be open to, you know, not everyone fitting right into the cookie cutter thing, but like, finding common ground, because you're not going to find someone that's exactly the same or exactly what you think you want.
Yeah.
But I think you
Yeah.
have to manifest or write down those values, or those like the framework of the kind of person you want. Obviously there's going to be specifics about each person that's different, but if you get like the sort of bare bones of what you need out of a partner, then you're off and running. If you have some, you've eliminated what you don't want, or whatever, or highlighted what it is you do want. I just think it's important to have some idea what you're looking for before you go out looking.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. I think another way too to kind of beat dating fatigue is kind of like keeping your mindset in check. And that's like anything in life. Like, and it's so hard to not get into. It's like I know like me and my girlfriend, like when we're like online, we're like, oh my god, look what this asshole said. And then we're like, and then when we go to date for date, we're like, look what this piece of shit tried to do on the date. And it's like so, and like we laugh about it a lot, but the reality, and we love to joke about, and I get so mouthy online and I get so mouthy in person on my dates, and we find it so funny. But the reality is like I'm kind of making a negative mindset. So keeping your mindset in check and knowing when you're being negative and complaining about every date or every interaction, it's not going to motivate you to continue. And
Yeah.
you're also not really speaking and thinking positive into your experience, kind of like that manifestation you were talking about. Like you're supposed to be a positive person in order to bring positive things into your life. And if you're constantly taking everything like, oh, fuck, I gotta go on another date, like, oh, I have to meet this guy, oh, he's like this, oh, he did that. It's just so negative that you're actually not trying to find a silver lining in order to maybe give that person another chance, or maybe have a proper experience of them because you're giving off some negative energy or taking everything so negatively, you know?
Yeah, and you do have to know that you want guys to approach you or do whatever, and then if you're not receptive to them like making an effort, it's just going to make people less inclined to do that, right? So you can't be like, oh, like guys don't take the initiative or do whatever, or ask me out on a date, and then they do, and then you like shoot them down or whatever, right? It's like you kind of have to encourage that sort of behavior you want to get out of people. I think a little bit, like you say,
Yeah,
if they're trying to get together and you got to make it sort of easy, like to link up and do whatever. And so if people are making an effort, I guess you got to recognize that's a bit of the love language thing, but you got to recognize the effort they're trying to make, even though it may not be the effort that you anticipated or like what you would expect. Like it's like, oh well, they didn't like your friend, like Ali who was on, like he's very busy, and if he's like, listen, I am very busy, but can you get together like 8 o'clock tonight for a coffee or whatever? You might be like, oh, this guy's just can't make time for me. He's doing whatever. But if you look at from his side, he's really trying to fit you in, right?
that is true. That is true. And the reality is when I first like was looking for just experiences, if a guy like exactly like Ali, like if he was like, "Hey, I don't have the time to plan things, but if you let me know what it is you want to do, I can definitely make it work." I
Yeah.
would be like, back in the day, I'd be like, "Okay, this is what I want to do. Let's go." And I wouldn't be so negative about it. But as I had dating fatigue and as I got like negative in general about it, I'd be like, "Oh, what an asshole! You can't plan anything. Forget it."
Or you
And
can't, yeah, he's Mr. Busy.
yeah,
You can't make time for me or whatever. Like,
yeah, yeah,
or just wait until his wife goes out. like,
yeah.
but
I
like,
would
I
create
think,
a
but like,
whole
he's
scenario.
obviously like, for him to fit you, even to fit us into podcasts or do whatever, he has to make a lot of effort because he has a very packed schedule, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, you got to recognize the effort. And like,
And
again, with
and
the
it's
love
hard to
language
do that.
thing, right?
It's hard to do that when you're also negative about dating in general. Like when your
Yeah.
mindset is off, you can read whatever your mindset is, whatever it is. What was that old
Yeah.
saying? Like whatever you think it is, that's exactly what it is. Like
That's
if
right.
you're
Yeah.
gonna look into it negatively, it's going to feel negative and it's gonna feel personal. And it's gonna
You know,
feel like an attack
Isn't it
versus
like
like
whatever, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're either way you're
you're
right or
right.
something like
Yeah,
that?
that's
Yeah, yeah,
that's what
yeah.
it was. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah. And that goes with the same thing. If you think if your mindset is negative, then that situation is negative. Like
Yeah.
Ali is the best example for this. Like I
Shout out
nowadays
to Ali, the co-host with the most.
he's gonna love that. But I would take it that way. I would be like, oh, he can't just plan it. Oh, you can't figure it out.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't take that if I was more positive and maybe, like you said, like try to be more receptive and try to take it in a different way and think
And
that
it's funny
that's
too,
a
the kind of
different.
guys you're interested in are going to be ambitious business owner types who are going to be fucking busy too, right? So you're
Exactly.
like, oh, I want this guy that's just fucking putting in 80 hours a week, and you're like, yo, where the fuck is this guy, right? Like he's fucking Mr. Busy all the fucking time, like. But yeah,
It
so
is it
I think you got to know that in that type of guy you're looking for is going to be ambitious. He's going to be working all the hours and hitting the gym after and doing whatever. They're going to be busy people, right? So I imagine it's going to be tough to schedule in time with someone like that.
yeah, no, it is true. It's true. It's I've always had to be very, very cautious and respectful one. But it's really I'm usually good with it once I'm in the relationship, but like beforehand, I'm like, oh, okay, like he couldn't,
It
But
could be
when
misconstrued as just like
yeah,
can't be bothered to make a plan or can't be
that's
bothered
how
to make
I
time.
always
Yeah.
take it, which is
Well,
negative mindset.
I was always the same way. I was always very negative. Like, it didn't like come across as negative. Like I was positive, sort of outgoing for the most part, but I would always be cynical. So I think my dad for sure is that way. Like in just I don't want to say like assuming the worst, but he's like English people
He's
especially. They
cautious.
can be
He's a
very very
cautious person.
very guarded, very cautious, and
Mhm.
and I always assumed the worst of people. I was like, oh, they're up. This is their intentions aren't good. They're trying to try to blow me off, or they're trying to do whatever. And it's easy to make this huge scenario out of nothing. So trying to
Yeah,
avoid.
no,
But
it's
if you
true.
go in like you say, being not cynical, being positive, and looking to assume the best of people, I think is huge because 9 times out of 10 people mean well. So if you just assume that they are trying to mean well, then it takes a lot of that sort of
Well,
guesswork of
one way
out
that
of it.
I try to remind myself now lately is when I kind of get into that mindset as I remind myself, we're all in the same boat, you
Yeah.
know? Remind yourself like you're not alone. That other person is also seeking a relationship and is putting themselves out there. We're all actually going through the same experience. They're also having the same conversation over and kind of sick of dating. They're also skeptical because they've had some bad experiences. Everyone is,
Mhm.
in the same boat And so you just have to remind yourself you're not alone. It's not as personal. Like their process is not as personal. Once you take the ego and the personal aspect of it out, you kind of like allow the ability for there to be reasons why things like maybe if I'm not making it so personal, take my ego out, I can be like, oh, maybe that guy is so busy that he would like some help in planning the date, you know? If
Yeah,
I'm
and he's
not
trying
making
to
it,
genuinely make time for me or whatever.
yeah. And it's like once you take that aspect out and you also realize that they're also in that same place, you know, and it doesn't change the value you're worth, you know, everyone has like a different way of living and it may in the beginning just not be meshing properly or like you say different love language, different way of communicating, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just the way they're trying to get to the same end goal, which is a relationship and it may be a different process than yours, but it's not an attack to you and your ego. And
Yeah.
I think when you take that out, it's easier to kind of be more receptive and keep a bit more open mind.
Yeah.
And, you know, it kind of changes the way that you experience every interaction in the beginning. And if
Mhm.
you can change that mindset, the likelihood of going on another date and experiencing another positive interaction with someone is more highly, you know?
Well, you're the
Um,
one that's always, I'm assuming, shutting it down. So, how do you say to people like, "I don't see it going anywhere"? You just that's just pretty much it. You're like, "Hey, like I enjoyed getting to drink with you. I'm not sure I see it going any further than that," kind of deal. Like, there's obviously there's got to
oh
be
my God,
some etiquette
I
to
have
letting
this as
people
a
down.
total, I have a total podcast on this in like two more podcasts. But
Mhm.
yeah, I both ways. Sometimes I just don't. You, I have this really
I
bad
imagine
habit
I
where like
imagine for the most part, people would realize like mutually that maybe there's no connection there. But I'm sure there's plenty of
some
times there's when there is and someone thinks there isn't.
so usually it's the latter that happens more often than not. And I kind of got
Yeah.
into this really bad habit. And there's lots of guys that aren't interested in me too. It really is both ways. But when I'm in a date and I realize like I'm not interested, and really I do think a lot of it has to do with my mindset being so negative and having dating fatigue now. But
Yeah.
I got into this habit where I start to pick at something I think that will make them not like me and really go all out by saying it
Yeah.
over and over again or behaving in a certain way so that they never contact me again. It's very childish, and I'm actually trying to undo this natural behavior, but it's become like almost a tick. Like if I am not interested, I'll like harper on the fact that I don't want kids, or I'll harper on the fact of like I like one guy, and I talked about this like a long time ago. Like this one guy was like really not interested, and I knew he was obsessed with Elon Musk, and I don't really care about Elon Musk either way. I don't like I'm not like into him, not into him. It doesn't involve in my life. But
Yeah.
like I went on and on about like how dumb I thought he was, even I don't really care. He never, I don't think that way.
That's a sword
You
to
know,
die on, but yeah.
yeah, like I know his husband, but the guy was so pro Elon. I thought he was the most genius person in the world. So I just went on about how I did, just so the guy would be so turned off by me. You know what I mean? Like I will find the most random thing, or like I'll
You
start
sound
to
like this
like,
sounds like the plot, isn't it? What's that movie like? How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or something like that? Isn't that
yes,
what the
yes,
plot of that is?
I.
Like she tries to
It
scare
has
him
become.
off.
Yes, and it's become like a natural tick of mine. Like it's so bad. Or like if they say like they don't like something, like I even one time like I'm a stickler on time, but one time like and I was like saying how much a stickler on time I am, and then I went on and on told the guy like all these experiences of how I make guys wait on dates for an hour, and I think it's important to do that. And I've never done that a day in my life. Like I will just randomly go through so it's a really bad tick, and I highly don't suggest it to
I just
anybody.
feel like you're so bored, you're just like spinning a wheel of insanity to see what kind of crap you can get yourself into. I feel like you're like, okay, today I'm going to go on a date. I'm going to blow this guy off without using the letter E. And it's like some insane fucking,
Well,
or
you
I'm
know
gonna
what's
tell him,
funny? Like,
I'm gonna pretend like I have Tourette's, but I'm not gonna tell him.
well,
You know
like
what I
the
mean? And you
Elon
just
Musk
start
guy went
yipping at the
nuts
top of your lungs.
after. He went nuts. He blew up my phone for like 2 days. Like all these
This is
facts on
your
how Elon
dating
Musk is a
fatigue speaking.
genius.
You're so fucking bored. Like you're like, I'm just gonna,
I
I'm
know.
just gonna.
I know.
It's like
It's a
it's like in Super Troopers when he tries to sneak in the word meow into the sentence. I'm like, I can see you do that. Like, so Sherry, just go on a date with this guy and try and say shenanigans, right? Like as many times as you can. Like,
yeah, I know it's so bad. But I have gotten much better. I'm working on it, and I've caught myself. And But and I'll explain further on, I think it's like 2 podcasts from now, why I got into the habit of this, because
Yeah.
I was ghosting and I was trying to let people down easy and it was blowing up in my face. So instead I picked up this habit. So
Oh, like you
it's
tell
not
people you
that
joined the Peace Corps and then they see you down at Trader Joe's like an hour later.
yeah, yeah, honest to God, so yeah, it's gotten to that point, like, it was getting that bad. So I honestly, like, I was pulling a Chandler, I was about to go to Yemen, like, so
My
that's why I
your
picked up
friend
this
said you
habit.
died. My condition was upgraded to stable.
It really got to that because ghosting. I mean, we'll talk about it in 2 podcasts for now, but
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
is why I picked up this tick. But, anyways, back to being positive and getting out of these habits. But so, anyways, another suggestion is change the ways you're trying to meet someone. And I know we were talking about like everyone's ideal is to be set up,
Mhm.
but whatever it is that you're doing, if it's online or if it's going to the bars or maybe you're constantly going to the same park or going to the same dog park or going to the same grocery store, whatever it is that you're doing to meet people, change it,
Yeah. Well,
so
I think I
I
told you
know.
my buddy that actually we have a mutual friend we have. He met his wife at like a mountain biking or like some sort of like outdoor group. Like everyone gets they
Yeah.
get together and do like rides together or hikes or whatever. He met his now wife like there, which is cool because obviously you have things in common, right?
And exactly, and like for instance, like I would even tell like Jess and Ollie, like who said that they don't like to do the apps, they rather do it in person. I would say someone like that, then go on the apps. Like whatever it is that you're doing and it's not working out,
Yeah.
do something else. If you're not approaching people in public, approach them. If you the next time you're at the grocery store and you see someone and you're attracted, go up to them. If you're at the bar, same thing. If you're not on the apps, get on the fucking apps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever it is that you're doing, change it up. Like what is the other thing? Like what's the thing, like, if you keep doing the same thing and getting the same results
Oh
and
yeah,
or expecting
insanity is it was the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
God bless you, you're so good at remembering these
Well, it's like
things.
for you, like you hang around Ferrari dealerships and just look confused, right? That obviously isn't working out, so you're gonna grab another
I'm gonna
page
go
out of the playbook.
I'm gonna go to the yacht club.
You might as well, yeah. You take Jessica with you.
But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, like, just change it up. Like, don't keep doing the same fucking thing and expecting a different result. I know for me and my girlfriend, we started like going to play tennis. So it's just like we both don't fucking know how to play.
Right.
And I've always had the outfits, but never the experience. And literally the most we've ever hit the ball back and forth was like 3 times. But we haven't met anyone yet, but we have like talked to people
Yeah,
like
it's a different
that
crowd,
we
different
enjoy.
different scene, right? Yeah.
And you never know who might know someone else. You might get invited somewhere. Broaden your fucking way of meeting people. And
Yeah.
I guarantee you, you will have a different experience. Again, it doesn't guarantee you a new boyfriend, but you will have a different experience. And you never know who someone else knows
Yeah.
that comes into
And,
your social
and
circle.
most of us, like outside of work, we don't really meet people unless you've got like a hobby, like you're playing baseball or whatever you're doing, right? Um, yeah, like unless you like, where else are you going to meet someone other than work? I mean, where else do we all go? I mean, maybe some people go to the gym, some people are into hobbies, but that's the best way. Like you say, just find new ways to just interact with people. You don't have to be out there trying to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend like that day. But like you say, if you meet people, you new social circles, new hobbies, new whatever, and then you start hanging out with them, and then yeah, exactly. You're not going to meet people sitting on your couch anyway.
Exactly, exactly. And the whole point is to kind of get out of your comfort zone because your comfort zone is not working,
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
whatever it is that you're comfortable in, do the opposite.
yeah.
And that actually kind of leads me into my next suggestion. And my sister said this to me a couple years ago. I was like, oh, like it's not working out with this guy. It's not working out with that guy. It's not whatever. And then my sister like kind of asked me like, well, what is he like? What is this one like? And then she's like, this is the same fucking guy. And it's like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
again, my comfort zone. She told me one time, she's like, maybe your type is what you think is your type or your old type is not your type anymore.
So
And
many
that
people
kind of
say that. Yeah, like they finally found some success in a relationship when going with someone totally opposite to what they normally do.
so many people I know are married to people that they would not date at all. I even have like
Yeah,
a friend who like was completely look wise into something opposite or culturally something opposite. I know another guy that like culturally he would not date. It was his own culture. And
yeah,
then he actually did, and that's the person he married, like so
yeah,
whatever it
yeah,
is that you're dating today and whatever you think is your type and whatever you're swiping on, whoever you're approaching, try someone different.
yeah.
And just even take it as an experience of knowing a different type of person and trying to be positive about it, again, not being negative about it and experiencing the difference. Because I know a lot of times, like, when you're in a different situation, like a different type of guy. Like maybe you're not a hiker and this guy's like all into outdoorsy stuff or camping and you're like, fuck, this is not my type of guy. But
Yeah.
try to be a little open minded. Maybe it will be, you
Yeah,
know,
well, that's what
maybe
happened to
you're like,
Taryn. Like she'd never been into anything outdoorsy, and then when we started going four wheeling and stuff, she's like, "Man, you can see like all these amazing places that like almost nobody's ever been," you know. And you find something
exactly.
about it you like. Like, yeah, neither of us want to go hiking through bush and like swatting at spiders and flies all day. But like when we go out in the truck and we go places, it's enjoyable, and we still get that sort of adventure and go to places where there's no cell service, there's no nothing, and there's very few people have ever been. You know, relatively few compared to going somewhere busy. So anyway, yeah, we found stuff we liked together, right? Like that we didn't anticipate.
And she experienced something with a guy that she probably wouldn't have otherwise. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guarantee if she was single today and like a guy said, "Hey, do you want to go four wheeling?" and she'd never gone before, like I would be like, "No, that's not my
Yeah,
thing," you know?
yeah,
But actually, it might be your thing. You should try a different type. Try, like,
it's
just like
yeah,
you're saying, get out of your comfort zone and how you're dating. Also, go on out of your comfort zone and who you're dating, you know? Whoever
yeah.
you think is your look, whoever you think is your culture, whoever you think is your interest, do something else and try to take it as an experience. It doesn't mean it's your somebody, but it is a different experience. And that's what life is all about. It's about
Well, it's like you
fucking
say, you don't
experiences.
know whatever you're doing isn't getting you the results you want, so you got to try something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give us
And
ugly
my
people a chance, man. We know what's going on. We're funny.
yeah, you're definitely funny. You're not ugly. Stop telling people you're ugly.
I've
Um
I've let it slide the last few years. I gotta be honest with you.
no, I
Since you've
see
left
you're fine.
California, I think you have a very strange recollection of me.
I saw you right before COVID. We went for
Oh yeah,
coffee.
that's true.
You look the
Yeah,
same. You look exactly the same. Um,
yeah,
anyways, and my last piece of advice is, and I see this a lot, is like it didn't work out. Someone got rejected, that kind of stuff. Just don't take it so personal. Listen, everybody is not everyone's type. And one thing I always remind my friends because once they're down and like I have a girlfriend who just recently said, I never like anyone, and when I do like them, it never works out. So I don't even want to put myself there anyways. Like
hmm.
whoever I like doesn't like me back, and I don't like those other people. So it's just not working out. But it's like we're an overpopulated fucking world. There is someone out there, and there is someone out there who's looking for someone like you.
Yeah,
But, you know, I may be looking for something. You might be like I always say, like I knew so many amazing guys, but they weren't what was I needed to fulfill me. And sometimes when you meet people, it's not that they're not good enough. They're just not what your heart is seeking. So don't take rejection so personal. We're all looking to feel something and we can't always it could be the wrong time. You could be missing one little aspect to fill that hole. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. It's just that's not your person. And that's okay. We're not all meant to be in love with everybody, right?
yeah. Well, I think you and I, like, because we both have opposite takes on the like for me, there's no way I've ever been in a relationship with someone that wasn't like a slow burn. Like I got to know them and all that. And I know you're very quick to decide if this
Hmm.
is going to work or not, So I think a big thing for like if I was going to say to you like some advice, I'd be like try and let it let it sort of simmer a
Evolve.
little bit or let it evolve. Like see how it goes. Like you don't have to commit to being with this person forever just because you're going on a second or a third date.
I know. And I'm actually so bad at that. I'm so quick to jump in and just as quickly jump out. Like,
Because all the
you
people I've
know,
ever had a successful relationship with was a total slow burn. Like I knew them for a long time before we started dating, and it's
yeah.
and anyone that I jumped into it with relatively quickly never went anywhere.
It's so funny. My mom and sister say that to me all the time too.
Because I
They're
know
like,
you're so
yeah.
big on. I was talking to Taryn about that the other day. Like I'm like, oh, Sherry and this love at first sight horse shit. Like I don't even fucking get.
I'm
I'm like, it's just not like. I'm like it's. I think you miss out on so many people because they don't give you like the butterflies like off the hop. Like I said,
uh,
all the main relationships I've been in my life have been so slow to evolve out of a friendship.
I know, I know. It's so funny. And I'm so quick and because you know, I grew up with a lot of guys like you. Like I grew up with guys. So when I'm put someone in a friend zone,
Hmm.
only once in my life have I ever looked past the friend. You know what I mean?
Like
Like I just once they're friend.
gone back on your decision.
Yeah, and And it was so awkward for me because I've always been like, and I think that's why I've always gotten along so well with like my guy friends' wives or girlfriends, whatever, because I've never been like one who sort of flirted or like,
Hmm.
like I've always been a friend. Like I'm not leading him on in any way. I'm not trying to get attention from him. I never have. So
Yeah.
I've only know how to either be a friend or all in.
Yeah.
And I do think that at least like now, because I'm meeting people out and about, like not like in high school or like whatever. So the chance, I think there's more chance of it evolving past friendship.
Yeah.
Um, I still don't know how to just like, I'm like, oh, there's no butterflies, there's no quick, I don't feel anything. It's friend zone again. But I
Yeah.
I will work. I am working on. I have been working on giving at least 3 dates, which
Yeah.
is your piece of advice. I have been working on that, and I think that's one of the most essential advices ever. And I'm actually now trying to swipe or try when I talk to guys out in public, different types of guys and not my generic tatted Guido look.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I still think Pauly D is one of the hottest guys out there. But
He's
but
got to be getting
I
up
also
there
love
in age now, though.
I love his age. So I'm getting up there in age too. I'll be 38 in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So
He all that fake tanning and all. He must look like a fucking prune by now. But
he's so hot to me. I still find him so, and I love Reese's peanut butter cups, so his hair doesn't even bother me. Like
it does look
I'm
like
so
that. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so into him. But I am trying. Like, recently I went out with a guy who was not at all my type. He was like a Harvard graduate, like PhD student, like, like that type and
Yeah.
well educated, very calm. And I gave the 2 dates that we gone or three. But I gave it a chance. I gave it a chance. We
Hmm.
talked a lot. But not my this one didn't work out, but I
It's
am
it's funny that you were
taking all
always
these
like being
advices.
around race cars and shit, and you don't date any fucking trash bags like me. Like you were always
I,
hanging. You always like going to mission and fucking around and doing that stuff. I'm like, why
I
you don't
know.
date hood rats? Like, what's up with that, right?
I have. I don't want to say his name. I dated one for 2 years. You're just forgetting.
Oh,
I
I know
did.
who
I
that
did.
was.
And yeah, yeah, and there's been a few. There's been a few. There's one that you really didn't like. I even remember I brought him once to your ex's house, and you're like, "Why are you bringing this trash bag around?"
Yeah, sounds like me. They
Yeah, yeah,
but I'm telling you, yeah, you're barking up the wrong tree. You got to slum it a little bit.
yeah. I'm still a tire biter. I
I
still
feel
love
like
a
you would
good.
be like the girl who would like go hit on the help, like just to be because you're bored. Like you know what I mean? Like you're
Shut up.
like,
I'm not really a gold digger. I just want a private jet. It's like he does. He just rents it out.
yeah, you can. Dan Bilzerian, he's probably looking.
I mean, in LA, that you can just go on one for like $200, so he doesn't even need to own it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be going on any jet with the in-flight meals, a parachute. I'd be looking out for those.
but but yeah. But anyway, so that's all my piece of advice. But I just want to tell listeners, I get it. I'm with you. I understand. Lee doesn't. Lucky
No,
fuckers. Been
I
married
don't know anything.
forever.
Yeah.
But I do get it, and I'm in the boat too, and I am working to get out of it and changing my bad habits, dating different types of guys, going to different things, different hobbies, different interests, being more open, taking Lee's advice and going on more dates, and slowly burning to their death.
Yes, you
But
gotta, you gotta, you gotta. I'm telling you, man. There's something about like the friend zone situation. I don't want to call it friend zone, but like when you're just not, you have no expectations, which is hard to have when you're going on essentially a blind date off the internet. Like it's really hard, I think, to go in like genuinely with no expectations. I think you can say you have none and you're willing to do whatever, but obviously you're both there with the intention of going on some kind of date. So for me, like I said, it's always just been a very natural progression where I just got to know someone because it's so hard. Like someone the first 2 or 3 times you meet them, it's just not. It's just not a good. You can't get it. I don't think you can get much of a feel for like what they're about.
and there's a lot of miscommunication. I mean, right before we actually started recording, Lee and I were talking about a different situation of people he knows, and there was miscommunication in that,
Yeah,
and it would have
yeah,
almost not worked out had it not been not cleared up, like
yeah,
just
yeah,
from an assumption. And I think you are right. Like I continuously have those assumptions on the first date, the first conversation online,
yeah.
the first planning of the date, and even it goes right back to that alley situation. Like so many times I misread the situation, and because I'm not looking for the experience, I'm just making it personal. I could be missing out on an opportunity of the right person. So it really just kind of try to take it more lightly, the whole situation and the whole experience, and I think people will find it to be a more positive experience overall,
Hmm.
and the fatigue will go away.
Yeah, I think so. I imagine you see like the signs, like someone starts saying something like, "Oh fuck, I've heard this speech before." Like this guy goes into that box, and that box didn't work out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's only so many
Yeah.
templates of people out there, and I think if you see like the same pattern as something, like, oh fuck this, I've
Oh
been down
yeah.
this road, this isn't gonna work. But it's like, you know what?
And then you just end it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you know how many times I've actually been wrong, because there have been times like just recently there was this guy who just came off like so fucking arrogant in text, but in once he called me because I was just like fuck this,
yeah.
he was actually the nicest fucking person.
I
And
have
I was
some
like,
friends
"Oh,
like that that just don't get they don't come across well in text, for one
yeah,
reason or another, and I don't know what it is, but we always I see them in person, like, man, like you're so much more agreeable and sort of easygoing in person, but some people for whatever reason just they can't convey what they're trying to say through
me,
text.
if you see me on online, like compared to like our text, if you saw me on the apps, you'd be like, fuck, you don't even talk." And it's
Yeah,
like
well,
in person, I don't shut up,
yeah,
you
yeah, and
know?
some people just aren't big texters. Like a lot of people, our age is not as common, but I do have some friends that'll just pick up the phone and call me. I'm like, motherfucker, we're texting. Like, you don't fucking call me,
I
right?
know.
But they do, and I'm like, and there are some of them are even a bit younger than me. I'm like, that's weird. Like, don't fucking call me. That's weird.
The worst is when they leave a voicemail. You're like, "Oh fuck."
Oh, that's even.
Like,
I
what
had a
is
buddy
this?
that wouldn't even set up his voicemail. I have a customer. His voicemail says, "Don't leave me a voicemail."
I know, because it's just awkward. I hate voicemails, but but it is true. But be receptive. Like I know, like when guys send me voice notes on those apps, I'm like, can't you just text it? And then I get so annoyed. But I'm like,
Yeah.
well, maybe the. And then one time this guy's like, sorry, I was driving and I was so excited to message you back. I voiced it. I was like,
It's
oh
speech to
shit.
text is a thing, bro. Just, hey Siri, send this text. Like, yeah, it's funny. We're evolving like oh shit, my phone's going all crazy because I said Siri, you fucking bitch. Yeah, it's so funny that people, God, Siri fucking derailed me, man. I was on a fucking tear there too. Like, it's almost come full circle where I had people send me voice messages. I'm like, we were literally full circle. It's like, this would be so much easier if only there was a way I could speak to you, like say what I want to say instead of type it. It's like we're fucking right back to square one here, right? Because
I
I get these
know.
voice
But
memos. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I assume it's like a pocket dial. Like, yeah, I just want to say this and that and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, the fuck is this? Text it to me, you fucking amateur.
I know. I know, and people get really shocked when you're like, "Why? Well, like, why do you hate voice notes?" Like, because I have to stop what I'm doing if I'm watching a show, put it on pause just to push play. If I'm out
Yeah,
with
yeah,
people, I gotta say, "Sorry, I have a voice note. I don't know what you're gonna say in front of everybody. I have
yeah.
no fucking
Did you
idea."
do you have
So
the thing where you just press play and it plays it? You don't have to like call in and hit the code or anything, right?
no, no, no. Mine just plays, but I don't play them. I tell people if you're gonna voice memo, I'm just not gonna listen.
Well, I'd say with
So
me, I have like if you phone me and I don't answer, you don't send me a text or whatever. I assume you figured it out. Like, I'm not going to call you back. Like, if I call someone and they call me back an hour later, I'm like, what the fuck's your problem? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
don't fucking, your window is closed, right? Like, but just send me it. I'll text guys, hey, I missed a call from you. Do you still need me? And like, no, I figured it out. Like 9 times out of 10, I'm like, perfect.
We're in a different. You are right. We're full circle, but
Call me if you need me, but don't
any
need me.
or text me if you need me.
Yeah, just text me. Fuck's sakes. Especially for
Well,
me,
thanks everybody.
as you know,
Oh,
sorry, as
go
you know,
ahead.
I'm always out of cell service too, right? So text works better.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
follow us on the socials, bitches.
Yes, and we're on YouTube now
Yes,
too. The perfect underscore X.
and MySpace.
Subscribe, subscribe. Share us, follow us, tell your friends about us, and the perfect underscore X on Instagram, on Spotify, on Apple. Well, on Apple and Spotify, we're just the perfect X, and that's the letter X, everybody. And if you have any questions, we can do another question one, and it's the perfect X at hotmail.com. And thanks so much. We'll tune in to us and we'll talk to you next week.
Yes, tune in or tuna. All right.
Bye, guys.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.